Welcome to another edition of How I Fucked Up, the podcast where we talk about people's mistakes and lessons learned along the way. I am Andrew Gall, Executive Creative Director at Copacino Fujikado, and always love to have guests in real life. It's a wonderful situation when you can bring in some cheese and meats and rosé. So I'm proud to introduce my latest guest. Her name is Valentina Gomez Bravo. She is the president of the Seattle chapter of AAF and also executive creative director at the University of Washington. So, Valentina, thank you so much for being with us. Very happy to have you.
Thank you for having me. I love whenever the first time you said, "Oh, let's go to the podcast." It's called How I Fucked Up. I'm like, yes, let's talk about that.
Let's talk about it. So, yeah, always like to talk a little bit about your marketing origin story. Let's hear a little bit about how you got where you are today in this illustrious role at the University of Washington.
I'll do the Cliff Notes version of this because it's been 20 years and change. But background in mass media communications back in Venezuela. Did some advertising, worked from college. So my first job was marketing assistant at a record label, which was really cool to be paid to be kind of a groupie. Went in-house with Red Bull for a little bit, so was on the client side, work on that side for a little bit, then graduated, went to agencies. So did TBWAs, or BBDOs, worked with Pepsi for a few years, started in accounts, realized that was not my jam, and that I was a creative. So made the switch to creative, went to Argentina for a while, did some creative direction over there, did a master's in business. Love the Argentinian advertising agency. That's kind of the mecca of creativity. So learned a lot there. Came back to Venezuela, where I'm from, back to agency. Then went entrepreneurial for a while. Left the country, came to the U.S., had a stint in Houston, and then I've been in Seattle for about 4 years.
Amazing. Well, it's interesting to me that knowing you as president of AAF, you came from Houston and they were like, you're going to be the president of our local ad club in a community that you didn't really know anybody in. So I think it's a testament to your ability to mesh well with people and to just have this dynamic personality about you. How did that come to be?
Well, thank you for saying
that.
Not
the dynamic personality, but becoming president
yeah,
of AAF.
I mean, it was a challenge when AAF was huge for me in Houston. I had my own business at the time, and it really helped me. I was new to the country, so it really helped me build community and build my business and really find a place where I felt like I belonged. So when I moved to Seattle, and they were like, yeah, AAF is struggling a little bit. We might not keep it going unless you want to take it over and then do something with it, which in the moment I thought it was a horrible idea because, again, like you said, I knew no one. And I was like, why would you want me to run something that's based on relationships when I don't know anybody in Seattle? But they trusted me, and they're like, if anybody can do it, it's you. We believe in you, and I don't back down from challenges. It's kind of like a problem. So I was like, sure, I only promise that I will give it a shot. I'm not going to promise that it's going to work. And I have never met a stranger, so I think that helped. And we just went on with it, and it's been about 2 years, and it's been the comeback that we didn't know we would have. So it's been amazing.
That's great. Yeah, and I've seen Seattle kind of rise and fall and rise again as an ad community, and every year seems like there's fewer agencies, or the ones that you knew are gone, and maybe there's a couple people that start a thing or whatever, but it's always been hard to keep our local community together. So it's been really fun to come to recent events and just see that it's thriving, because I feel like everyone needs it,
yeah.
But it takes a certain type of person to like, okay, I'm going to wrangle this, because obviously it's a lot of work that's not paid in addition to your regular busy life. So it's been really fun to see it come back and progress under your reign. So.
Well, that makes me very happy. That's the point. We love it. We do it because we love it, because to your point, it's a second free job, unpaid job. But we love it, and the team loves it, and everybody that's on the board. It's really a team effort. We truly believe in the community, and that's always been at the center of it. So I think the community looks different. To your point, agencies have changed. maybe the market in the future also will look a lot different. And we really want to build a club that adapts to what the community looks like and not the way around. So it's been really fun to see people embrace it and help us make it what it needs to be.
Yeah, and to see young people get recognized too, because I think it's getting harder and harder for young people to break into advertising with the advent of AI and everyone doing more with less and just saying, well, we're not set up to teach because we're too busy doing the work and everything. So it's a really nice platform for the youngs, because there's a lot of talent out there. Just sometimes they don't have a light to shine on it.
Yeah.
So
it's very exciting. It's cool to see them one day showcasing the work, and then a couple days later winning an award, and then walking out with a job offer from the award session, which
literally
was
happened
wild.
with us.
Yeah,
he starts in 2 weeks. He's gonna be
great. I know.
Great.
It's so exciting. I know. That's it. That's why we do it. That things like that is why this is worth it, and we're stoked. I'm so excited. And I have to plug it. If anybody wants to join the party, we're always looking to add more people.
There you go. I love it. Not a shameless plug at all, because I
0.
asked about it. So it's you've had a really interesting career trajectory, agency side, brand side, big brands, different countries. You mentioned an entrepreneurial streak. So was that an agency that you started, or was that a different type of business? Because I know that you ran an agency as well.
Yeah. So I think I've been an entrepreneur since birth, honestly. I used to sell my McDonald's Happy Meal toys at school.
Incredible.
So it's always been a thing for my life. But I had a stint as a professional dancer. And I went into the dance business for many years. Left advertising to go full-time into dance, opened some studios, a production company. We had a clothing line. We did dance photography. It was kind of a little dance empire. And then I decided to go all into that. Had a career-ending injury. And then all of a sudden I had 6 hours of free time that I used to be my 6 daily hours of dancing or teaching or prepping for a show or performing at a show. So with that free time and navigating the depression of not being able to dance anymore, I was like, what do I do? And a friend of mine from my agency days was like, well, this is what you're good at. You're a creative. Just go back into advertising. But I didn't want to go back to the advertising structure that I knew, where there's not a lot of room for female creatives in leadership positions. And I knew eventually that's what I wanted to do. So when I started checking my boxes, and I'm like, there's 2 more and then that's it. If I ever get into that succession line, which felt impossible at the time. So I was like, there's no space for me in what this place looks like, and I can't dance anymore, but I want to go back to being a creative and having it. So I figured I'm just going to build what I know is missing. And I started my own agency, a branding design studio. Our biggest focus is brand building. And I felt like there was a need for that when I started my dancing businesses. I couldn't afford the agency that I worked at before because it was too expensive and I was a small business. But then the freelancers or some of the people that I found online were not it. Once you know too much, you get picky. So I was like, this is not it. This is not going to work. It's still a lot of money and the quality's not there. There's clearly a gap. So I decided to become that gap. And then I built an agency that works with small businesses with the goal of building the businesses that one day will work with the bigger agencies and will become household names in the future. So that's how it started.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's almost getting in on the ground floor. And helping them grow.
Which is the most fun part for me as a brand person, is to build the brand from scratch. So that's what we focused on and that's what we did.
That's awesome. And how long did you do that for?
12 years.
Okay.
Starting in Venezuela with my team and our office and my lifelong dream of building a fun office space. But then things got complicated in Venezuela, where I'm from. And I had to make a survival decision. And I decided to pivot and leave my country and start over somewhere else. So I came to the States. I had the opportunity present itself and I could not say no. So I came to the States and decided to bring my business with me.
Mm-hmm.
And we had both for a while. So it was a dual country agency for a while until the business in Venezuela could not keep up. And also my team started moving too.
Sure.
So it was a fully local agency with the owner overseas, and then it started being half the team overseas, half the team local, and then we were all leaving for different countries. So that became a challenge too. So we built a fully remote agency back in 2015.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, that was before that
Yeah,
was a thing,
it was
right?
not a thing. It came with
You were
a
the
lot of
first.
challenges.
You're before even like Victors and Spoils and like those agencies that didn't even have an infrastructure. That's
It was
interesting.
wild. It was such a challenge. Not nobody, that's an exaggeration. A lot of people had a hard time
Sure.
understanding what a remote agency was, and we had no choice. My entire team was spread across the world, and I did not want to change my team. So that's how we started, and then we added some local people here in the U.S., eventually closed down the Venezuela office, and then kept my Venezuelan team remote, and then we did the remote thing for 12 years. So, of course, at the time, Skype,
Sure. Skype,
a lot of
yes.
Dropbox, because that was a thing then. Then we moved to other types of things and tools, but eventually the world proved our business model, and then it was a lot easier. I mean, I spent money on an office that I didn't use just because some clients couldn't
get past
get
it.
on board.
Yeah.
And I was losing business because I couldn't make my case of a remote agency at the time. So I had to get an office that I never went to. So the clients want you to go to them. So it was literally a waste of money, which you can count that as a fuck up. But it worked. Once 2020 hit, we were set. So we had to explain ourselves to no one anymore. And we were ready to go. Yeah.
Yeah, I find it fascinating. And it's, I don't know if it'll ever, everything... I don't know if everyone will ever like fully return to office or like how that will ever work, because everyone's, I don't know, it seems to ebb and flow forever. But I think if you just have the right people, it just doesn't matter as much. If you can trust them, then it's like you can be wherever. If you're small enough, I think there's a certain scale, obviously, where that becomes more difficult, and there's a lot of benefits to us being together, as there is with anyone else, but. You made a really great point, which was, I don't care where they are. I want my team. I don't and this was out of necessity, but you made it work. Right. And I think that it took so many people so long to get over that. And I think now I think what we're seeing when we're hiring, freelance especially, is we're very leery of, because during that period of COVID, it was, you're double, triple dipping, you're getting whatever you can. And so we're just like, there's an inherent mistrust, and you're just like, are they spending an hour and billing a whole day, and a lot of the time it shows in the work. But if you have it the other way, and it's people that you know and you trust, and it's great. And then it's even better when you see each other in person, right?
Yeah, and I think what helped us is we knew each other before,
right?
And we already had a relationship and a trust, and we had worked together in other agencies and in other spaces, and we did get to work together in the same space for a while. So I don't think it would have been that easy if that base wasn't there.
Sure.
And also the fact that we weren't working remote just because we were in our homes. We were all working remote because we all migrated and left our country to start over somewhere else. So I do think it was a very specific combination of circumstances that helped our costs in a way. But I mean, it proved to us and to a lot of people that it was 100% doable.
Right.
Even though we understand that we still needed that contact. And I mean, we were on Skype calls constantly. Like sometimes we were just on for hours just working with each other.
Right.
Not because we're having a meeting. So we tried so many things. But yeah, it was definitely a risk at the time that paid off sometimes and sometimes hurt us. But that's not the case anymore. And once 2020 hit, it just flowed, and it made so much sense to so many people. So even clients that had said no before had a completely different perspective, and now the dynamic for work was different.
Yep. And it'll never be what it was before COVID.
No, it's not gonna.
Nope.
We can try though.
Yeah.
We can keep trying.
I don't know. I think hopefully we all remember the benefits, and we will still remember them for years to come.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to me, it's fascinating that you go from entrepreneurial, start your own agency, run your own agency, and now you are client side at a large academic institution. So let's talk a little bit about how you went from one to the other.
Yeah. Are we getting into official fuck ups now, or just transition?
Well, is the transition itself a fuck up? I guess I'll ask you that. I think yes, we can transition into the fuck up. However is best.
Okay.
If it's part of that story, great. If it's okay, here's what happened, and then great too. It's a very open format. So
fantastic.
However we get there.
So I'll answer kind of like core. Let's see if we can get to it in an easy way. Once I started my agency, I never thought I would not have my agency.
Right.
So I'll start there.
I think that I would. Someone needs to do a study on this, but I would guess that 90% would never go back. I'm guessing that's completely anecdotal, but having met lots of people that have started agencies and maintained them, I'm guessing that you're definitely in the minority.
Oh, that wouldn't be that kind of flows. I'm usually the exception for a lot of things. So that kind of trends. Very on brand, I think, for me at this point. But I love my agency. I put so much work into it. It took everything I had, literally. It took everything I had financially. It took me, I thought I didn't know if I could bring it to the States when I moved here. So that was a very real fear. Am I going to have to close this? Because migrating means starting over in a million ways at the same time.
How many people did you have at the agency at the time when you moved to the U.S.?
There were 6 of us.
Okay.
When I moved to the States, and just that transition alone was a massive conversation. I also had the other businesses still. So that move meant leaving the other businesses behind because my partners at the time didn't want to partner overseas. So I had to say goodbye to a lot of things. I couldn't even stay on as a partner. So starting here, this is all I had to kind of like start over and putting everything into it, transitioning from Hispanic-only clients or Spanish-only clients to clients in the United States, now having the team work in 2 languages, not in just one. So then thankfully the entire team is bilingual to a degree. So that was another component. Some were fully bilingual. So that helped make the transition faster. But then learning how to do business in a new country and then meeting people and having no track record, no contacts, no network, anything. And just literally knocking on people's doors and going to networking events, which is not a thing in Venezuela. And like my first networking event, I put a timer on. I'm like, I'm going to be in this very uncomfortable situation for 45 minutes and then I'm getting out. And then practicing some more and building that business, transitioning to a point where we had most clients were here in the U.S. And then we had clients internationally too, because then immigrants and it became a thing. And then working in both languages, the agency grew very steadily. We ended up adding more team members. That this time they were local, even though we still worked remote, but they were at least in the U.S. Kept growing, kept doing more things, adding services to the agency. So then it started getting more complex. And then we were doing more things because our clients wanted more support after we built their brands. And just, the grind. Drawing up new business, doing the work for the clients, and we were a very small team, so I wore a lot of hats.
And you were the only one in Houston,
right?
With boots on the ground.
Correct. So all the client meetings, all the things, it was mostly on me.
Yep.
And it was a blast. We had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun. Built a lot of great networks, a lot of support system. AAF was huge for me in that space. And then 2020 hits. And I was determined to not close the agency. It's like, no matter what happens, this is not going down. Like, we worked too damn hard.
Yeah.
And we had 2020 and 2021 were our best years in the whole history of the agency. We made the most money.
You were prepared for it.
Well, that helped. Yeah. let's say our baseline
Just your
was
working
there.
style was
Yeah.
prepared for it.
So we were ready to let's just put this on steroids, right? I did a lot of speaking engagements at the time too, so that also ramped up because I didn't have to travel, so I could do them online. So I was the busiest I've ever been, I think, in my existence. And we had the most clients, the most projects. We had a lot of new clients. The clients that we had needed more help because now we have a different challenge. So we had to sometimes go back and do more things or update things with clients that we had not heard from in years. It was amazing. I had the most speaking engagement. We won a bunch of awards, which had never won awards. We won a lot of American Advertising Awards. We were featured in things. It was amazing.
That's awesome.
I worked 16-hour days for 2 years.
God.
It was not sustainable. So
There's nowhere to go. During COVID, you're like, well, just gonna work more, right?
And as a
Get up and work.
Yeah, I'm a recovering workaholic. It was bad. I just worked all the time. And I was also single, so I really had nothing else to do but to be in my business and try to figure out ways to grow it. And we were also super busy with AAF Houston. We didn't stop during COVID, so we were doing events and things online and programs and so I was in the zone for 2 years. That came with a cost to myself.
Sure.
So I fulfilled my goal of not firing anybody. Check. Growing. Check. Winning awards, doing more things, doing cool new projects. Check. I also tried to launch another business during that time. Insane. Which I also did. So I was like, I don't even know. It was a lot. But I thought I could do it all. So I just kept going. And then I started getting sick. And I started to cry when I got emails. And I was like, this is not okay. It was the most severe burnout and my first burnout ever.
And it was manifested in physical symptoms to the point where you couldn't push it down or ignore it in any way.
By the time I paid
your body.
attention,
Right.
It got to that point. There were symptoms.
Sure.
I just ignored all of them because I was
And if you're
busy.
single and you're by yourself, and no one's gonna be like, hey, listen. Right.
No one is gonna be like, you need to stop. My therapist didn't tell me anything. I was in therapy the entire time, but I never talked about work. I just talked about other things. Also, my therapist was virtual, so how does he know that
right.
he's my 25th call of the day? There's no way. So I had nobody to stop me, and the only people that I spoke to constantly were either clients or my team members or my family. And my parents were not going to tell me anything. They've met me. They raised me. They knew that was not going anywhere. I was going to do whatever I wanted. And that was, I just didn't listen.
Sure.
I ignored it for as long as I could until my body made me pay attention. And then I couldn't ignore it anymore. So I had to do something about it. And I knew I had to stop when I was starting to resent the thing I love the most. And the thing that I worked so hard to build, and I was starting to resent that. And this is that's when it hit me. I'm like, this is not, we need to sit down and take revision here of what's happening.
Yeah.
So it took me a minute, but.
So what are the concrete steps then? Like.
Well, at the time, I would say it's kind of like grief. It was, I think, the biggest grieving.
Stages of grief?
The stages of grief.
Sure. Yeah.
Because I was grieving my baby in a way. And the first thing was accepting that something needed to change. And at the time, I started making little adjustments, like changing some of my working hours and logging off earlier and trying to move delegating more. Like I started doing, I went to a coach. Like I started doing all the basic things we all do. Like I went to a coach, I did this, I started adjusting, but it just wasn't enough.
At that point, you thought it was fixable.
Oh, 100%.
Through minor adjustments.
I was going to totally get out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is doable. I just need to do things.
Yep.
And work out more and have me time and all this stuff that just really wasn't it. Until it got to a point where I decided that I needed to stop.
How long did that take?
About 6 to 9 months for me to sit and come and say it out loud. I had not said out loud, I think I need to stop.
Were you physically better than when you started feeling a certain
No.
type of way, it was the same.
Yeah, I wasn't making a lot of progress in the
Yeah.
health department. Autoimmune, it's very emotional disease.
Sure.
Like it was a lot of that. And I could rationalize it. I had answers for everything. I had reasons for everything. I had a list of resources. I had people I could reach out to, but I had to do the work. Nobody
Right.
was going to save me.
Right.
So I had to sit down and have a really hard conversation with myself and with the people.
Mm-hmm.
Because then I'm like, I didn't do all this to the point of making myself sick because I didn't want to shut down the agency during COVID to then shut it down. So that was another huge moment. And I just took pause and said, okay, what is the least damaging way this can be done?
Mm-hmm.
Damaging to myself and damaging to others. And it took me about a year and change to fully shut it down. I did it in steps. I did it in parts. I started moving things here and there. It was very important for me that my clients had help.
Yep.
And that my team had work.
Yep.
So connecting them to and setting them up to work without me was important. Making sure that my team had other sources of work that did not depend on me. Making sure that my clients knew how to handle their own accounts and if they had questions where they could go and making them guides of the things we talked about. Like it was an extreme preparation. If you think about it, I don't think anybody that's billing would do so. I mean, I don't know. I didn't bill for that work.
Sure.
I just also felt an obligation.
Right.
Because I was the one that needed out. So I felt an obligation to set people up for success because I was the one that made a mistake by not taking care of this earlier. So it took about a year and a half. And then I just sat there for a while. I went in-house with a big client and a massive project that came through that was just, I need something fun.
Yeah. And was that full-time or was that a project?
It was a project, but it was all I had to do.
Yeah.
I mean, between that and dissolving the agency, those were my two jobs.
Sure.
So it was a full-time thing. It was partially remote. I went in a few times. It was a merger of 3 international industrial companies into one
Wow.
and creating a new brand.
Fascinating.
It was amazing. Over 30 countries, hundreds of people, 3 brands into one in a space that I knew nothing about. So I also had to study and learn, which I'm a total nerd. If I could get paid to go to school, dream job. So I spent time doing that. I didn't have to think where the client would come from. I didn't have to think where my paycheck would come from. I could just be creative and pour my knowledge and my soul into a project that I could just have fun with. And that gave me the space to try to figure out what I wanted to do next. I knew I wasn't going to stay there for very long. And then this opportunity at UW came, and I was reading that job description, and I was like, this is me. It's like they met me, and they wrote this for me. It's the perfect job. Because I didn't know what to do.
Right.
It took me a very long time. What do you do next after 12 years
And you
running
weren't sure.
your
You
shop?
probably didn't want to work for an agency. Or
I
maybe
didn't
you were
know.
open to it, but you didn't want to run your own thing. Or maybe you just
I
didn't
just
know,
needed a break
period.
from the pressure
Yeah.
of having, because also I didn't have partners.
Sure.
And I didn't have somebody that could pick up the slack for me. So I needed to not have everyone and everything dependent on me
Yeah.
for a while.
That's a big load. I mean, I've never owned an agency. I don't own Copacino, but I have enough visibility to know what you have to carry as someone responsible for the livelihoods of others, and especially if you're on your own.
Yeah.
You're truly on your own. You're truly on an island in that sense. I think that, and it's interesting to hear you talk about the dissolution over time and all of the care that obviously you went through to get there because of in this business, and it's gotten better, but there's so many sort of omnipotent creative overlords that are just they storm into a room and it's like, no, fuck this, we're gonna do it this way.
Yeah.
But I think you have to to survive as an owner of a small business or small agency, whether your background is in creative or not, you have to have a certain mindset that's so far beyond anything creative at all. And it's it becomes human decency, but such a sense of responsibility that I've got to think could be very overwhelming at times because of the people that you've hired and the relationships you've built with them. So
yeah, and that's and to your point, I don't know that everybody would do it. It wasn't necessarily the smart choice. I just could not sleep
Yeah.
or be okay with my decision if that wasn't the way that it happened. Like, I needed to do it the same way I built it on my own terms. I wanted to pause it, or because it's not like the companies exist. Like, there's still things out there. Like, I don't think I had the heart to fully like disappear it from the earth, because you
Sure.
never know. If I've learned a thing or two with all the changes life has thrown at me, is you never know.
Right.
So it's not a forever, it's a for now. And that's what I also told everybody. I don't know if or when I'm coming back, but for me, it's very important. And I bring this to everything that I do in life. I do it at work. I do it in my personal relationships. I do it in the way I lead my teams. And I do my work. Is, for me, how you do things is as important or more important than the work product of that thing that you're
100%.
doing.
Yes.
So if the project is beautiful and wins an award, but the process to get there royally sucked, then it's not a success in my book.
Yeah.
So for me, how to do it was maybe more important than when I was doing itself. And that's how I approach everything. So that's where I spent the most time. And that was kind of what was the most important to me. Because at the end of the day, that's what you remember.
Right. Yeah. Because it's a lot of work. And so if you're not finding enjoyment in the process with the people that you're with, because that's the other thing, is advertising is a team. It's a team thing.
The ultimate
team sport.
Yeah.
It just is. And you can survive on your own for a long time, and you build your network and you build those relationships. But ultimately, you have to be able to rely on other people, or else it's not going to be a sustainable thing. There's just no one person can just do that all.
I mean,
right?
Anything. Not one person can build a business. Yes, I ran the thing mostly on my own, but I didn't do it alone.
Right.
So did I have all the pressure and the decision making and the accountability on the consequences? 100%. But I didn't get there by myself.
Right.
So yeah, you can't do anything alone. And that's why that was important to me. And that's why when this job came around, that's why I took my time to figure out what I wanted to do next. I thought about going back to agencies, but again, I didn't know many people. At that time, I had not gotten involved with AAF yet here in Seattle, so I literally knew no one.
Right.
So I wouldn't even know where to start. I had no connections. I didn't have a network. I didn't have anybody to call and be like, hey, have you heard of anything? So as I was going through my process of searching, I applied for so many things in all the ways just to test it out too.
Sure.
I also had not done a job interview in like 15 years.
Yeah, it's been like 12 for me. I don't know what that's even like.
Because even before I started my agency, none of the jobs I had before I interviewed for, I was poached from one agency to the next. So I had not gone in a job interview probably since college.
And I'm sure it was different at UW than it would be for an agency.
Oh my God. I've never had a hiring experience like that. And I was terrified because also it's such a staple brand and it's such a staple place. And again, I knew no one. So I was like, there's no way. There's no network conversations or things like that. So I just tried everything. I interviewed, I think with one or two agencies. I interviewed with a couple in-house teams. But it was also, and this is something I always tell my team or the people that I just come across with in general. And so, all interviews are two-way streets. Yes, I am being interviewed for the job, but I am also interviewing the company to see if I even want to work there. Is it a good fit for me?
100%.
I don't know that. And I learned that in my agency years when not every client is a good fit for me either. And I worked with a lot of people I shouldn't have worked with. But I didn't know that until the end because I just wanted the business.
Right.
Mistake. So I learned the hard way that all interviews, pitches, consultations, discovery calls, they're all two-way streets.
Right.
So always remembering, for me, it was important of like, yeah, that job looks lovely. I do want to sell myself to you. I want you to love me and hire me. But also, do I want to work with you or do I want to work with your company? And a lot of the times that was a disconnect for me in the interviews. Like I haven't come all this way to that. Like this does not feel right.
Yeah.
So then I would just not keep going.
Were you pretty good about sussing that out right away, especially given that you hadn't interviewed in a long time? Was it just natural instinct or?
It's an instinct.
Yeah.
You kind of just, also when you once you hire people,
Sure.
you kind of get a feel for that.
Enough.
I would say I trust my instinct and my gut, because every time I have, it's been great. And every time I haven't, it's been a reminder that I should have.
Yeah.
So I trust my gut. And if it does not feel right, it does not feel right. And I can dig and try to find a rational answer for it. And there usually is. And you'll usually find it. You're like, oh, that's why, even if it comes later. But you always find the reason why your gut was correct.
Well, they say, the first reaction is often the correct one. Well, I'm glad that you trusted your gut to appear on this podcast.
Always. No, yeah, it's been a journey, but this job just felt right. And will I stay here forever? I don't know. Again, my experience in life has taught me to always be open, because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
I love that. So the lesson is be careful of burnout.
Oh my God, yes,
Recognize
please.
it.
Early.
So
please.
So let me ask you this, is maybe this might be the last question. How do you, once you've worked yourself up to that workaholic level, how do you dial it back? How do you maintain a semblance of balance, knowing that you've done the other thing for so long? Is it like, do you force yourself to log off? Do you maintain other pursuits that help you get separated from work? How do you do it?
Yes, and.
Yeah.
Which is also something I use a lot in life. Yes, and. Or no, but. You have to do both. I'm not perfect. I believe in constant evolution of all the things and all the humans.
We're all lifelong learners, right?
So I am in constant evolution. Some days I'm great at keeping my workaholic Valentina in a box. Some days I'm terrible at it, and I've been at it for 12 hours and I can't stop.
Yeah.
Harder when you're in the zone,
Sure.
especially for us creatives. Like when I'm in the zone
It's something
creatively,
fun too. You're just like, I want to keep working on this, right?
So there's moments, I would say trying to balance is what I strive for. I don't necessarily strive for success every time because it's not real. I check, did I do too much today? Then maybe I do a little bit less tomorrow.
Yeah.
Having something to do outside of work, important. I was not single anymore. It was easier because I had somebody else to pay attention to.
Right.
That was also important to me, and more important than my work. So then that subconsciously made me make space. And then new city, I had to spend time meeting people, opened another pocket. AAF Seattle, which I love dearly. And I love the community that we're building. And I love my team and the people that are on the board. Like at this point, we're friends.
Even John Lyon.
I love John.
John's okay. John's the best.
That space that now is taken, like you just open the pocket, something comes in, takes that space. Now I have less space to workaholic. So I just try to keep opening pockets, finding something meaningful to put in it. And naturally, I have less time to workaholic. So that helps me. Again, not a science, but a practice. And sometimes I still suck at it.
Well, and so much of it is just being aware, right? And being aware that it's okay to evolve in some way.
Yeah.
And continue to learn.
Once you know you have a problem and you've acknowledged your problem, once you're aware, it's hard to be indifferent.
Sure.
So that helps. Yeah.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for spending this time.
Of course.
Great stories.
Happy to. I hope this helps one human being or none. And it's just for our enjoyment and our wonderful
selfishly,
time.
it always helps me because it always feels like I'm just in a free marketing therapy session. So,
I love.
You helped me. You helped that one person.
Well, good.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on How I Fucked Up. We will see you next time.